Next question I get a lot of emails on. How do you know when an oil's been cut?
So cut, you mean, if it's 100% pure?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, or if they've added any additives to it. Of course, you're kind of...
Or even grown in the best practices, like, it's grown, it had the most sun, or how can you tell by the way, like the resins or whatever, I don't know. How can you tell?
Well, there are a couple things you can do. First, of course, you request, any sort of chemical assays or specs from the manufacturer. Now, there's a lot of debate whether we can even trust those.
Everyone's going to say they have the best oil. Come on now.
Right. So if they've
Seriously
submitted some information to you, then that's great. Either way, some of the first things you can go by are the smell. However, I would just say this, is you have to have a little bit of a trained nose. Usually by touch, you can tell a lot. So if we're talking about something that's 100% pure oil, has not had any synthetic additives to it, now granted, some oils are more oily than other oils. But for the oils that naturally are not that oily, the first thing you'll notice is if you have side by side a couple different brands, that one will drop out of the bottle usually a little bit faster than the other one. That's clue number one.
I know when you did the styrofoam test, you dropped them on there. You're always trying to get 1 or 2 drops. Sometimes 3 came out, and one. Some of them you had to actually tap on the bottle to get out, and some of them they just poured out.
That's right. And then the other factor is, dripping it down. There's a couple different types of drip tests we can do that'll assess, the viscosity or how much oil is in it. It's not just dripping it down a mirror, which I know that is something that you've done before. But, what I also do is I'll actually put a drop or two behind a dime, and I'll actually just stick it right onto a glass surface. That's vertical, and actually see how long that dime takes to slide down or fall off of the glass. That's a really, really good test that I do between different brands.
I thought you told me one time you put it in your thumbs and you kind of your thumb and your finger and you kind of just massage it, heat it up. What were you saying? I remember you were saying something.
That's right. You can also just test it on your skin, and of course, every time you test a different brand, you want to test it.
You were saying how it slips between your fingers. Remember, you were saying some of them are more oily, some of them are more slippery.
In general, the synthetics, if there's any additives to them, or if the solvent extraction is a little bit more watery, it's not pulling out a lot of the oil, you'll notice that the oil kind of slips very quickly between your fingers. It's almost like, it's hard to describe. That's unless you've actually felt it. If you have an oil that has more, it's 100% pure oil, it's very heavy, with a lot of heavy constituents, it's thicker, it's going to feel more like if you've ever put olive oil between your fingers. It's not quite as slippery. It's got a little bit of friction to it. And the other thing that you'll note is that that oil residue will stay on your fingers or on your hand for far longer. And if you use another one of these with a weaker extraction, or it's got some additives to it, cut with something, you'll notice that it actually evaporates off of your skin much more rapidly, and or some of those lighter chemicals get absorbed to the skin faster. The other thing you can simply do is just rub a drop, put it on the surface of something, and see how long it takes to actually evaporate off of it. And that's also a great way. You'll know that when something's not really that pure, it'll evaporate in half the time or less.
I have to get this. Let me see. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.